Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Heretic Medusa. If it looked like that was about to fly out of my hand, it was. This is one of the more powerful side opening autos that I have experienced, and it is, you know, the size is not an intimidating size. It's kind of, it still feels like a full-size knife, but it doesn't feel like a big knife. So you go to fire it, and it's really surprising how powerful it is. I was shocked that I had never reviewed this. I thought for sure that I had reviewed the Medusa. It turns out, no, I had reviewed the Pariah 3 years ago. And so it was awesome to have an opportunity to take a look at the Medusa. Trying not to get those mixed up. Thank you so much to Heretic for sending this to me directly. I'll link it down in the description. It comes in a lot of different flavors, and there's a lot of retailers who carry this thing. I love this bronze and sort of dark forest green aluminum. This is such a good combination, but there's lots of different colors available. So I will link this down in the description. It does help my channel and use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Yes, this is an American pocket knife. This is a U.S. made pocket knife. I'm going to compare it directly with the Microtech Stitch in terms of power here in just a moment. But first, let's do some quick specs. Overall length of the Medusa is coming in at about 7.65 inches. Blade length is 3 1/4. Cutting edge is 3 1/8. Let's do some size comparisons. Any custom scales you might find in this section will be found down in the description, or can be found down in the description under Original Goat and others. So, up against the Cold Steel 8010 and the 8020.5. It's very similar in overall size to the 8020.5, but it has a much larger presence. It's a much bulkier, much beefier, much more intimidating knife for sure. So it appears larger at first glance. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. And then finally, we'll put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. How's the action? Well, like I was saying at the beginning, it's really powerful. This firing switch is also very satisfying to look at and to actuate. I love the sort of the knurling on there. This hole right here is not functional. It's just for looks. So you push the button and it deploys, and man, you really got to hold on. You can see, like, it is really firing hard. It's a lot of blade too. I mean, it initially seems like a short blade, but it's actually a pretty thick chunk of Magna Cut. Very cool. So yeah, the action is exactly what I like to see. I like a good hard firing side opening auto. I know that thing is going to deploy every single time that I push it. No question. Even if something was in the way, I feel like that blade's gonna deploy. It's going. You got to get out of the way. So I like that. I think it's super cool. And I think that any of you who like side opening autos and can legally own and carry them, you'll enjoy it too. Let's do carry profile thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's a little thick. It's a pretty heavy duty, beefy looking knife for sure. Length and height up against the PM2 and the Para 3. Yeah, it's not a super huge object. It's pretty tall, right? But it's not going to carry like a big hulking tank or anything like that. It's just kind of a burly knife for, these measurements. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'm going to get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description. It talks about the tools I use on this channel, or the pinned comment. That pivot looks like a T25 to me. Is it? Yeah. Yeah, look at that big old T25. I like it. That's great. Probably not going to strip a T25. And then these down here look like T10. That's cool. I love that. Why? Because large size fasteners, the bits that you're using to adjust them tend to be more durable. Is that, hold on. Is this an oddball T9? No, it's a T10. I'm being dumb. The bits tend to be a little tougher, and then the fasteners, obviously, the engagement with them is a lot more solid. And it's a lot easier to adjust without damaging the bit or the knife, so I really like that. 3 screws on each side, and then they have one, it looks like a T10 pocket clip screw. So a lot of, maybe 2 extra screws, but should be pretty easy to take apart. The issue will be reassembling it and holding the blade in place while that coil spring, well, there's tension on that coil spring. If you've ever taken apart an automatic knife, like a modern one, it's not super fun. I honestly don't recommend it. Don't do it unless you have to, and check with, in this case, Heretic, and make sure that the warranty stays intact. I think, wasn't there a new law passed? You can't like void a warranty because of disassembly or something like that. If that's true, I don't know if that's true, but if that is true, that's good. Either way, talk with Heretic. Let them give you some tips. I'd hate taking apart autos, so I wouldn't do it. Compressed air, hot soap and water, all of that, oil it. That's what I like to do. Usually, you're fine, right? But if you absolutely have to, it's not impossible to put it back together, but it's pretty frustrating. So just be warned. Let's go ahead and measure the blade stock thickness real quick. I bet that's 190 thousandths. That's what it looks like to me. Oh, yeah, it's up there. That's a thick one. Not crazy, but definitely on the thicker side for a pocket clip. And then let's weigh it. Big chunk of magnet cut, and then we got some really nice aluminum backspacer, titanium pocket clip, those Track Tech inserts, 4.9 ounces. Can't say, or I'm sorry, 5 ounces was what it finally decided there. Can't say that surprises me. A little on the heavy side for a knife of this size, but not anything crazy. Okay, meat and potatoes time. What an awesome looking knife. Love the Tanto. I think it actually comes in drop point and Tanto. But ergonomically, there's plenty of room to get a full, comfortable, solid lock-in. This is not a knife that feels like you're going to drop it. Once you've got, this is, it really is a very business automatic. It's very serious. The jimping is serious. The lock-in zones are serious. I can feel the clip. It's not crazy. I can feel it. Sticks up a bit. But there's tons of jimping in here. It's got specific places for each finger, which I normally don't love. I like a little ergonomic freedom, but I can't sit here and tell you guys that I feel like I'm going to drop it or I don't feel confident with it. Definitely not. It feels like it's meant to be used. Absolutely. The edge, it is thick behind the edge, but it does come with a sharp factory edge. I'll let you guys look at that plunge grind. It's going to matter more to some people than others, but I'll let you guys take a look. So yeah, obviously you classify this as a tactical knife, right? You can EDC it. The vast majority of people who buy this are just going to EDC it and use it for regular stuff. That thick blade geometry is probably going to slow you down a little bit, but hey, it's fine. We're not talking wackadoodle geometry here or anything crazy. So it'll function, generally speaking, as a knife, right? And honestly, I think you could probably do some continued cutting with this, some pretty heavy cutting for long periods of time without the knife causing fatigue in your hand. It's pretty comfortable. It's not the handle that's going to slow you down. It's going to be just the general geometry of the blade if you're going to cut a lot. But if you're just going to EDC it and use it for regular light stuff or just whenever you need a pocket knife, yeah, it should be fine, right? This is the Tanto, so obviously sharpening, you got to sharpen this edge and then this edge individually, which some people find annoying, whatever. Fit and finish on this knife is excellent. Seating in the hardware, very, very good. The inserts here, I love the finish on the pivot and the hardware. This is going to be different depending on which version of the knife you get. Will that bronze finish hold up? So if they do it the same way as Microtech, which I have to assume that they do, I actually called them and asked about this a long time ago. I said, is this a durable finish? And the lady on the phone said, it's the way that it's applied is by heat. So as you use the knife, it absolutely will wear off. So these bronze finishes, it's not like a PVD coating or Cerakote, which would hold up better. This is just a finish that's changing the surface of the knife with heat. So enough use and you start to show the steel underneath, right? So be aware of that if that would affect your choice. I like how it looks. And if I was going to use this super hard, which I haven't, I've just been carrying and casually using it, and it's been fine, right? Cleaned it up here. But, so like a few cuts through cardboard is not going to do it. But extended cutting, yeah, definitely. Personally, it wouldn't bother me too much, but it might bother some of you. I do like that it's kind of matte bronze here, and it's kind of a satiny bronze up here. I think that's cool. Looks good. Just a little bit of jimping on the spine. We have a lanyard hole back here. This is not a seam construction. It's actually got a backspacer, so that's cool. Bronze pocket clip with the shiny gold finished hardware. Very cool. We probably have a huge stop pin. Yeah, we do. On an automatic knife. Lots of shouldering, big, fat stop pin, as should be the case, absolutely. A lot of people, say automatic knives are essentially just big, like they're plunge locks with like a coil spring. So are they unreliable? The reason that an automatic knife with a coil spring and a plunge lock is a lot more reliable than a button lock is that there's constant force pushing the blade into the open position. So yeah, a lot of it has to do with how well they manufacture that plunge lock. But with that much force, like constantly pushing it out, that plunge lock, it takes a lot more force to convince that plunge lock to disengage prematurely. So typically with super high quality automatic knives that depend on plunge locks, they are typically a little bit, if not a lot of it, more reliable than some of your weaker standard manual plunge locks, right? But anyways, the stop pin is huge. There is absolutely no blade play at all. There's no button stick. I think this is slightly off-centered, which is annoying. I don't like to see that from the factory. I gotta admit, the other Heretic knives that I handled, I don't think had that issue, and I can't say that I've heard that a lot about Heretic, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm gonna try loosening the pivot just a bit to see. Oh, we have a free spinning pivot. Great. So that means we get to use the other bit set, which is fine. But I don't like it when, obviously, nobody likes it when the thing comes from the factory not centered. But if it's just a turn of a pivot, then, no big deal. Got to make sure that this is actually the right size, which I don't think that it is. Okay, sorry about that. I had to go get a totally different bit set and driver, which they're all over the house, but they're never, the drivers and the bits are never exactly where I need them. So, number one, Heretic. If you guys are watching, man, a D-shaped pivot barrel or some captive pivot system would be very preferable. That didn't take too much force, but if you could imagine, I don't love having to do this, and it's having absolutely zero effect on the centering of the blade. Ooh, it's actually causing a little bit of blade play there. So this is something that I can probably adjust. That would involve doing the trick with the body screws, and I don't want to do that. So it is a bummer that this came off-center directly from Heretic, like directly from Heretic. Is this now pulling back? Is it doing anything different? Ooh, God, that thing is powerful. Crazy. Thought it was going to have too much friction. Yeah, I don't love that. On this expensive of a knife, we got to have these coming centered. So let me know if you own a Heretic knife. Is yours off-center? Did it come that way? Could you fix it? I think, obviously, there's always going to be a small percentage that are just goof-ups, right? Little teeny tiny, there's margin for error, right? But these should be coming, especially like they sent it to me. Like you gotta, I'm going to show it to thousands of people. So, yeah, it should be coming from the factory centered. I would assume that the vast majority of them are not. But anyways, so in conclusion, off-center blade's a little bit of a bummer, but the rest of the knife having perfect fit and finish makes me think that they're plenty capable of it. I also don't like the free spinning pivot, right? That's got to be, we got to have something captive there. But the rest of this is super cool. I really like this. Like, it's oozing quality. It's really, really nice. Price tag, $380, I think maybe $370 at base. I think the cheapest that I could find was a sold out one, very basic, at about $365. So I have to assume the base price is right around $370 or so. Is this a $370 knife? Well, yes and no. I mean, like, definitely if it was centered, like, it would be a lot easier there. The Microtech Stitch, like the base price on these things, and it's a, bigger knife. So it probably would be better to compare the Stitch with the Heretic Pariah Auto, which I have reviewed. The Stitch is about $400. I feel like the Stitch is overpriced. Truthfully, I feel like the Stitch should cost, something like $350, right? If the Ramlock manual Stitch costs $300, and I think that knife's a little high, then the the Microtech sticks probably shouldn't cost more than $350. And I kind of feel the same way about the Medusa, except I feel like maybe it should be slightly less. So, you know, the price on everything is going up. I get that. It's US made. It's obviously very high quality control, and it's a super high quality item. Like, I'm much more impressed with something like this than a lot of what Benchmade puts out for a lot more money, right? It's a really, really nice knife. It's not going to be for everybody. The price tag is a bit high, but it's not, you know, like, it's not terrorism. it's not like James Brand bad, you know. And as far as the power between the two, Stitch real powerful. That's hard to beat. Man. Stitch is... Hold on. Still going to give it to the Stitch, but this is close. It really is. This thing is really, really powerful. So, yeah, I don't know. $370. It's a lot of money for this. American-made auto, super high quality, right? There's a lot of competition for American autos, and ProTech's doing a lot of it. Kershaw's doing a lot of it. This has got a little bit more personality. It's a little more tactical, fancy, right? So I think the price is a bit high, but not anything absolutely outrageous. Overall, it's really cool. I think if you pick it up, you're going to like it, but it's not going to be for everybody. That's honestly what I think. So... thanks again to Heretic. Links for this down in the description. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. If you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.